All right.
Good evening, everybody. We have got a pretty good crew already here. Hope to have more. Welcome to the New Year's episode of And Such Were Some of You. We're gonna go with the intro video at the count of at the count of five. One, two, three, four, five.
Five.
When I look into the mirror, I don't always measure up to the man I know I'm supposed to be. I need to remember when I feel I'm not enough, that his precious blood still flows through me. Jesus reminds me I belong to him. This is who I am. I'm rescued and redeemed. I was purchased by the Lamb, forgiven and set free. Sin has been defeated, a new life's been created. Everything I have is in his hands. This is who I am. Day by day I'm learning to walk inside this truth, letting go of who I used to be. So I will not be shaken, I will not be moved from the promises he's spoken over me.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of And Such Were Some of You of 2024. This is our New Year's episode, and I want to start the new year out right with a word of prayer to our Lord. Dear Lord Jesus, thank you for everything you do for us. Thank you for saving us. Thank you for all of the wonderful people you bring into our lives, the godly people who love you, that can be family to us, that can encourage us, that can lift us up when we're feeling down, Lord, that can pull us back on the right path when we stray off of it, Lord. Our brothers and sisters, thank you for all the ones you sent into my life, Lord. Thank you for this platform that you gave me last year. One of the best things that happened to me probably the best thing that happened to me in the last year was you allowing me to join this team that I'm on here, this family here, Lord. I just pray that you'll bless us throughout this coming year, that you'll continue to grow this channel. More people will be blessed. More people, hearts will be touched. More people will be ministered to, people that need you, people that are hurting, people that don't know where to go, where to turn. I pray that they will discover this channel and that they will be comforted by it and that they'll be led to you if they don't know you, Lord. And I just ask all these things in Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Well, tonight, thank you guys. Thank you all for coming. I know there's a few others that hopefully will be joining us. I just wanted to talk about last year. How did it go for everybody? How did it go? Did we learn anything? Did we grow? What sort of things did God do in our lives that caused us to grow closer to him and caused us to grow wisdom and to touch lives in ways that we hadn't previously been able to do that? I guess I'll start with myself. As far as last year's concerned, our brother Jordan, last week when he and I met at McDonald's to have that McGriddle, he gave me this journal right here. And he told me, I've never kept a journal throughout my whole history of my life. People have given me journals. They just stayed blank. But Jordan suggested to me that I start keeping one. He says, even if you don't write in it every day, just don't worry about it. Don't feel like if you miss a day, you got to make up for it. Just whatever the date is of that day, just write that day's name on it. Like, for instance, I didn't write anything in it today, and I'm not going to worry about it. If I write in it tomorrow, I'll put tomorrow's date and whatever thing noteworthy that happened to me on that day. But the other day, I sat down on December 30th, and I wrote down a review of this past year in my life. And it's so weird. I can just show it to you briefly. I didn't plan for it to exactly fill 2 pages exactly, but it just happened to work out that way. I didn't count the lines and say, okay, I've got this many lines left, I can say this much. But it just worked out that it just happened to work out. Now, I didn't write this down, but I actually started this year out not in the best place to be. I was actually in the hospital when 2023 began. I'd gone to the hospital because I'd gotten a case of food poisoning, and there were some other things. Yeah, I was actually, I spent New Year's last year in the hospital, but I was only there for a few days, and I was released on, I think, I want to say the 3rd or so. I'd have to go back and look, but thankfully this Christmas, this New Year's Eve, I was not in the hospital, but that's how I started out last year. And the funny thing is, the year before that, I spent New Year's at Dinosaur Adventureland, believe it or not. So this year I was close to home. I went to a friend's house, and an old friend of mine who I've known for, it'll be 20 years. There he is, coming to us. Coming to us, shalom from the cheese capital of the world, Monroe, Wisconsin. Mr. Samuel Spoonow, thank you for joining us. I was just talking about how my New Year's went this 23 to 24. I went to a friend's house. He had a gathering, and I had to leave early because I was worried about these little angels right here. I didn't want them to be traumatized by the fireworks. So I came home about 9:30, and I think I hung out with Heart of Flesh and Dustin and maybe a few other people. I think Stephen was there up until New Year's, and then I went to bed after I made sure all the fireworks were over with. And so, Mr. Buckingham says he's having trouble getting in here. None of the links work. I don't know why that would be.
Probably because I stole his.
Well, he should be able to get in here just by going to the. He knows how to go to the.
I reposted it. I don't know.
I'm blocking him. I'm like doing some special hacking work here.
Oh.
If you're that good at computer hacking, we
No.
could really utilize you on our team here. Please contact us after the show. We can't pay anything.
Oh. I already knew that.
Okay.
That wasn't an insult. But
No. I did not take it as an insult. I took it as a commonly known fact.
I don't pay myself either. So
I don't think channels of our size will ever make money, but that's all right. I don't plan on monetizing anyways.
Yeah, I'm not doing this for money. That's the least thing that I care about.
Right.
Okay, so if I copy, Control C.
The really crappy part is you really don't get heavily pushed by YouTube until you monetize, because then they profit off of it.
Oh, yeah.
did you put your channel as a nonprofit?
No, I didn't set it up as a nonprofit.
Okay, you could get monetization eventually, and I think you should.
Oh, we already
It's
can,
just-
we just don't want it.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
We
Can
already
anybody-
qualify.
Oh.
What, Ryan?
I'm trying to figure out how to send him a link to his phone or something. I don't know. I don't know why he's not able to get in here. Let me
I
see. I'll
don't
tell you
know
what.
either, brother.
Shane, my friend Shane, the one that was with me a while back, he was supposed to join tonight at some point. Let's see. Okay, I just sent him a link. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing technical difficulties. Okay, I did send him a link just now, so I don't know why I want to. So, like I said, I came home from the New Year's gathering early to make sure the dogs were okay because my brother wasn't home. And then I went to my mom's house yesterday, and she cooked the traditional ham and greens and black-eyed peas and cornbread. She cooked that, and we just had a traditional. So that was my New Year's. But I had gone and looked at last year and kind of went and reviewed it, and I went month by month, and I started with January. The first noteworthy thing after I got out of the hospital was I went up to Knoxville for the first time to visit the Buckinghams. They were staying at Richard's apartment at the time, Jeremiah's dad, and so I visited them there, and I took them to a church in Knoxville to see the family Sal for the first time. It was my first time meeting them in person, and that was the beginning of a good friendship with the Sal family, and I'm very thankful for their friendship. They're a family that God has brought into my life and have been a blessing to me. Get back on the bed, doggy. See, I wouldn't pay her attention laying on, so she got down here. So she'll get back up there in a little while, I guess. And in February, my friend Charlie had his birthday. It was a pretty good gathering. And I also started going to Jordan. Jordan and his wife, for a while, they had Bible studies at their apartment. And I went to a couple of those. And I really enjoyed those because it was just kind of like a little intimate setting, almost like a little mini church service. And in March, I went to a church in Woodstock, and I brought my friend Jacob and his mom, Donna, and we saw the three Heath brothers. And for the first time, I met Children of the Promise, which is a fairly local singing group. Nikki Shaw, the mom, and her two sons, Jacob and Eli, met them for the first time, and I've become pretty good friends with them now. And something else happened not long after that. I had an encounter with a pit bull that did not go well. I went over to where Jacob was staying at that time. He was staying with a couple that owned a pit bull, and he wanted out. I don't know if most of you probably haven't seen little Joey, the little long-haired chihuahua that I was keeping for a while. But I was keeping him for safekeeping, so nothing would happen to him. But unfortunately, when I took him over there and handed him to Jacob, the pit bull in the house there started to threaten Joey. And Jacob wanted to get Joey into his room, keep him safe, and he wanted me to hold on to the pit bull so he wouldn't run into the room. That's not a good idea.
You hurt the pit bull?
Oh, I didn't hurt the pit bull at all.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
He latched onto the back of my leg and wouldn't let go. And
that sounds like a pit bull. I've had it happen before.
Oh, you've had one attack you, Samuel?
Well, bulldog, but same kind of family.
Okay.
Well,
okay. Pit bulls
there's a few things you can do in that situation. The best thing to do is cut the oxygen off at the jugular. Okay, and you want to put pressure along the front right side of the neck with the palm of your hand. Okay, and you want to squeeze across the esophagus with your fingers, and the dog will let go. One, because it'll start with a euphoric feeling, and two, because you're cutting off his oxygen. The dog will let you go.
Well, I'll remember that next time, and I'm hoping there's not a next
Brian,
time.
why didn't you Rambo the dog?
Why didn't
You
I
just
Rambo?
took it. Yeah, Rambo, like the warrior, like Dustin just described. Why didn't you Hercules the dog
That's
when it was
Well-
attacking you?
that's not really Rambo. I mean, the jugular's right there.
You
It's
have
like
a
maybe-
pit bull attached to your leg. Those are beautiful dogs, and most of them are kind. I don't think it's breed
Well,
at
the
all.
problem is, though, they're also ticking time bombs. They're also walking time bombs.
I've never had bad
The one
experiences
dog-
with pits, though.
The one dog you really don't want to get bit by is a German Shepherd. There is no automatic release. You just have to bash it in the head until it lets you go. That's
You can
it,
poke its eye out.
right?
I have a
That's no guarantee it's gonna let you go. Like you just gotta take your fist and smack the
No,
hardest part
look,
of its skull repeatedly.
I am making the guarantee to everyone right now. If you're ever in Ryan's situation and you really can't let it get off you, or you cannot get it off of you, you stick your finger in that eye and it will let go.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to go to that extreme with a pit bull. You really don't. Like a pit bull will let you go.
Yeah, but Dustin,
Right?
you gotta
Like,
think.
but a
you
German
have
Shepherd won't.
But you're in the moment being attacked by a dog. You have adrenaline pumping. You're just going through panic mode. You're probably still in the process of screaming, "Oh my God!"
Well,
You know
here's
what
the
I mean?
thing. I was able to. It was a
No,
bit-
I've been bit a lot. I've been bit by a lot of dogs, bro. Like I know what to do. If you've never been bit before,
Dustin,
yeah,
what are
your
you
first-
doing to get bit by so many dogs?
well, I've been involved in several like house invasions. Man,
By
I've done lots of
dogs
stupid
invaded
things.
your house?
No, I invaded a house and got bit by a German Shepherd. That's how I know, right? Like I reached for the jugular. I was choking the damn thing. It wasn't letting go. So you know what I ended up having to do? I ended up having to crack it in the hardest part of its head. That's the only way to get that thing off of me. Okay, right? Like I've done really, really stupid things, dude. Like trust me. If I tell you something, it's from personal experience. I don't give you secondhand knowledge.
Well, the thing that I mean, I actually, I didn't really even go crazy. I mean, Jacob said, "Wow, you didn't scream, you didn't yell, you didn't really." We lost 2 people just now. I don't know what happened to them, but so thankfully everyone was home. The owners were home. Jacob immediately started beating on the dog. The owners came over and, "Hey, you back, Dustin?" Anyway, they pulled the dog off of me, but it got me pretty good. So we called 911. They got me to the hospital. They took the dog to animal control and quarantined it for like 10 days or whatever. But thankfully, I didn't have to go through the regimen of rabies shots or anything like that. They actually stitched me up that night and sent me home. And for about a week or so, I could barely walk, or couldn't even really walk at all. And I have a new appreciation for people that are wheelchair bound or have to use crutches. It is really like the next day I was laying in bed, and it's a helpless feeling to not be able to move. We see your face.
Sorry.
I don't know what's going on with Mr. Buckingham. I don't understand why he'd be having trouble getting in here. But I don't know where Steven went. He just sort of disappeared. Hopefully he'll be back with us. So I'm just thankful that it wasn't worse than it was. Instead of saying, "God, why did you let that dog bite me?" My attitude was, "Thank you, Lord, that he only got my leg." And it's something that I'll always have a scar, but that's all right. I'll have something to tell people. I'll have a story.
What happened to the dog? Did the dog get put down?
No. Actually, they just quarantined him, and the people had to pay to get him back. He was quarantined at animal control for like 10 days, just to make sure he didn't have rabies and all that. But I never went to that house again, and Jacob moved from there shortly thereafter. They weren't really the most. They weren't the most quality people for him to be staying with anyway. I'll put it that way. So that happened. but the cool thing was my mom insisted that I stay with her until I could at least somewhat walk, and so I did, and she took care of me, and I basically laid in her recliner and watched game shows and preachers and stuff. And eventually I got to the point where I could get into a wheelchair. My uncle brought over a wheelchair that had belonged to my grandmother, that had been used by my grandmother at one point. And it just, it was a learning experience. I really was careless when I went into the home, not really taking precautions that I should have taken, being in the presence of a pit bull that doesn't know me. And, I really, thinking back, I was really careless. I wasn't being careful like I should. So, but then after about a little over a week, I got to where I could walk with crutches, and I actually had a cane with me when I went to Douglasville and saw Children of the Promise again. And that was in April. Later on in April, I went with Jordan to a church in Gainesville, Georgia, and saw the Sowells there. And they give a really good performance. And after, it was like a homecoming, it was like a special event. And they had barbecue in the church fellowship hall. So afterwards, Jordan and I got to sit across from John Mark and Justice Sowell and talk to them and visit with them while we were eating lunch. That was really nice. So then in May, right at the time of Laria's birthday, I went up to Knoxville again and visited with the Buckinghams when they finally got their apartment that they're living in now. And that was pretty cool. Got to visit with them then. And then going to June, I actually met, I don't know where he is, Stephen Andrew and Christian Pike at Christian Pike's house. And we had a wonderful time just working on the house a little bit, having lunch, just having Christian fellowship. That was a fun time. That was, I guess, the first part of June. But that was also the time that I joined Proverbs Guys. That's when Stephen and Jeremiah came up with the idea that I needed to be online. I needed to be on their channels, giving my testimony, giving my story. And so that's probably that is the biggest thing that happened to me this year was in June, joining this team, never having done it before. But Stephen definitely saw something in me. He saw the potential in me to become a host on this channel. And when I had two friends come up with a similar idea, I knew that it must be God that wanted me on here. And something else happened around that time. God taught me something that really blew my mind. It was God, I guess it was maybe a couple months before, I want to say maybe April or May, God showed me that I had committed the sin of idolatry. And if you know my testimony, you'll know that I wasn't really right with God. I wasn't walking with him. I had sin in my life. I was at best a lukewarm Christian, carnal Christian at best. At worst, I may not have even been saved. I really don't know. It's hard to really. However, I will say this. The way God showed me I had committed the idolatry was miraculous, in my opinion. And the funny thing is, this was something I did back in 2017, 2018, and I didn't know about it until last year, 2023. God didn't show it to me immediately. Maybe he had to wait until I was mature enough, till I'd grown enough spiritually. And then he had shown me something that was hiding in plain sight. I had bought a little figurine of a mailman years ago, many years ago, 20 plus years ago. I don't remember the exact year that I bought it, but I do know it was a long time ago. And I never gave it much thought. I just sat it on my shelf as just decoration, like if I were a fireman, I might have a fireman figurine on my shelf, that kind of thing. But something told me around this past April or May, something told me to look at the face of the thing. And I did. And when I did, I saw the face of that young man that I work with. I said that's, and I showed it to other people who know what he looks like, and they all agreed that it looks just like him. Now I thought, what does this mean? What are you trying? Is this a message of some sort? Like, what are you trying to tell me, Lord? And then I realized that what God was telling me, what he was teaching me, is that I had made an idol out of that young man I worked with. I had placed him on a pedestal. I had made him the center of my world. And that's a sin. You don't do that to a person. You know, only Jesus should be on that pedestal. He should be the center of your universe. And I realized, because I thought that I'd done nothing wrong. When it came to this young man I work with, I didn't think I did anything wrong. But God said, yeah, you did. And I just now showed it to you. I made a little idol out of your idol just to show you what you did wrong. And so that's when I realized that I'd created other idols. I realized I had created an idol out of a car I used to have. And God smashed that idol. In January of 22, my friend Jacob got into the thing and crashed it into the woods. So that idol got smashed. And I sort of made the Clemson Tigers into one. You know, I even took that car to Clemson University and got a photo shoot in front of a couple of them, like the stadium and Tillman Hall. And I realized, you know, I needed to tone it down with the Clemson Tigers. You know, it's okay to be a fan of a particular sports team, but you don't want to make that sports team your God. And people do that a lot. You know, Samuel's shaking his head. That's something that people do a lot, and they think there's nothing wrong with it. But just, you need to examine your heart. If you have a favorite sports team, you know, when you're sitting in church on Sunday morning, are you thinking about the football that you're going to watch later on that afternoon? I know a lot of people do, and it's like, no, Jesus needs to be number one. He needs to be the center of your life and the center of your world. So, but that was a big lesson, you know. God showed me.
Not Packers. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I know you got a lot of Packers
fans.
I was
trying to say it, but.
And I know those Packers fans are pretty serious. They're pretty.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Because
if you're a Bears fan and you walk into a Packer fan house, like, you're gonna get kicked out really fast.
You know, mainly because Green Bay is a relatively small town to have an NFL team, so it's more of a community team, you know, rather than this big city. It's like I think the Packers are very unique in that they're located.
You know, guys, it's worse here. It's worse over here.
Yeah,
it's a religion. It's the new church. People look up at their team so highly that they are going out and killing members of other teams.
Yeah, that is scary. That is scary. I know I've heard of people getting into bad brawls and fights at soccer matches, football. Football.
England and Greece, the worst in the world.
Yeah, that's, you know, if you don't worship the true God, you're going to worship something else. And a lot of people pick a sports team, and the people, but it can be anything, and you can be well-meaning. I mean, pastors have made idols out of their churches. They've made idols out of their ministries. It can happen. It really can. But so I joined the Proverbs Guys team, and then I went on to Jeremiah's channel and gave my testimony there. And if anyone's watching who hasn't seen my testimony, you can go to Jeremiah's channel, Calling All Saints, and you can find my testimony. It's only about a half hour long. I was able to fit a lot into a short time. And I think I did a really good job. I think the Lord was with me. But also in June, another big thing happened. This is something that I felt was such an honor. It was something that, you know, I can't think of anyone else that I would have wanted to do this. But I felt like I needed to be baptized again, because when I was baptized previously, I was baptized by the pastor of a church that taught false doctrine. And a doctrine that I used to believe myself. But in recent years, as God has been sanctifying me and showing me sin in my life, I've decided I wanted to be baptized again as the new Ryan, the Ryan that God has been getting right. And so I went to DAL, Dinosaur Adventureland, and Kent Hovind baptized me in the lake there. And that really meant a lot to me. Meant a great deal to me. And so that was another big thing. But then on my birthday, it just so turned out that Children of the Promise, the Shaws, they were going to be singing at a church in Tallapoosa. So I took Jacob with me, and we went and saw them in Tallapoosa, Georgia, on my birthday. That was a lot of fun. July, it says I went to the Buckinghams again. I saw the Sowells, yeah, and then I saw the Shaws also that month. And this is something cool. I had a special outing with my two sisters, which, I see them at family gatherings and that sort of thing. I'll see them at my mom's, or I'll see them at one of their houses. But this is the first time in a very long time that me and my two sisters just went off together. And the two places we went to we had to go to Buc-ee's, of course. So we went to Buc-ee's and got that out of our system. And then we went to this car museum in Cartersville, Georgia, called the Savoy Museum. I'd been wanting to go for a long time. And so the three of us went to the Savoy, and we just had a wonderful sibling day. It was a lot of fun. And let's see, what else happened? Okay, the big thing that happened in August was at the Ark Encounter in Kentucky. They have a big event, an annual event called 40 Days and Nights of gospel music, Christian music. And so, of course, the three Heath brothers were going to be there. And so I said, hey, Jeremiah, Laria, how about I take you up to the Ark, and we'll all go to the Ark, and we'll all see the three Heath brothers. And it's where they live in Knoxville is literally halfway between my house and the Ark Encounter. It's 3 hours to get to Knoxville, and then another 3 hours to get up to the Ark Encounter. And so that's what we did. We went up there and we had a good time. And it says that September, met Colby Smith at his church. Yeah, there's a young man that goes to a church in Macon, Georgia, who uploads videos. He hasn't done it in a while. I don't know why, but he's put stuff on YouTube and Facebook. And I just felt led to reach out to him and encourage him. His channel is called Gen Z Ministries, if you want to check it out. But then I met my grandnephews, Jace and Braden, for the first time. And it was good. I'd never met them in person. One of them was 9 and one of them was 5. And the reason I hadn't met them before is because their mother had been dealing with some personal issues. And for a while, they couldn't live with her. But, I won't go into detail. And then I visited the Buckinghams again that month, October. Yeah. The three Heath brothers, and you guys may remember, actually went live that night. They were at a church in East Dublin, Georgia. Not at a church. They were at a football stadium, a high school football stadium. And there was like a little church service that went on there, and they did the special music for it. And that was October 7th, which, as you know, was when something else happened. Something happened in Israel. That scary situation started that night, that day. But it was nice to see the three Heath brothers there. And I gave the twins their birthday present because it was right after their birthday, right after they turned 21. And then the next day I went back to Macon, and of course, East Dublin I have to kind of go past Macon to get up. I'm not boring you guys. I'm almost done. I went to Colby Smith's church again the next morning. And then later on in October, I took the Buckinghams to Dollywood to see the Sowells, and that was going to be their last time performing up until who knows when. That was sort of their finale for the time being, and we don't know when they will be performing as a family again. But I know that God is going to continue to use all of them. And it was really nice to take the Buckinghams to give them a chance to ride rides. Laria told me it had been like 7 years since she got to ride a ride, so it made me feel good being able to do that. And the Sowells paid for our tickets, So that, well, they, because they get free passes. So that was a fun time. Then in November, we had homecoming at my church, and then I went and visited the Buckinghams again. Then we had family Thanksgiving at my mom's. December was cool. It started out really cool. At the Heath Church, Faith Community Chapel, they have an annual event. It's a drive-through nativity that they put on. And they call it the Journey to Bethlehem. They have people will be in their cars, or they even have trolleys that people could ride in. And they just go around from scene to scene of, leading up to the birth of Jesus. And they have these sets set up at the end. They have like a set of Bethlehem, one of the stable, and then one of the tomb where the rock rolls away. And so the performers would have to repeat their performance over and over again throughout the night with each new group of cars that would come through. And probably up to like 20 times a night. And I was just amazed at how many people came. Their church is not that large. It's sort of kind of medium-sized sort of, but people came. This live nativity has gotten such a big reputation that people come from many miles away. I saw church buses from other churches that I knew were a long way from where the Heath Church is located. And so I was very impressed by it. And the three Heath brothers had to sing "Mary, Did You Know" over and over again. And I joked with one of the twins. I said, "You about got that song down by now?" He said after about 80 times, yeah. But they nailed it every time. Everybody did great. So that was a wonderful experience. And then I went to a Christmas musical at my brother's girlfriend's church. She goes to a church in Atlanta called Mount Perrin Church of God. And it's one of the big, rich churches in the city. And they put on a Christmas musical that looked like a Broadway show. It was just very impressive. And then 2 days before Thanksgiving, the Sowells lost their father, their dad, Gwen. And so I wanted to go see them. And so I visited their church in December and just went there to comfort them and show them my support. And they were handling it the best they could, And then after that, I spent the rest of the time with the Buckinghams. Finally, for Christmas Eve, I went and visited the Buckinghams again and went to their church. And, well, that pretty much brings us up to Christmas. I came back the next day and went to my sister's house, had Christmas with my family. So that's pretty much my 2023 year in review. A lot happened, some good, some not so good, but I'm just thankful for how the Lord taught me things. And I'm just thankful for some of the milestones. Joining Proverbs Guy was really an amazing Proverbs Guys Ministries. And just to see other people join after me, people that like Larry, for instance, a friend of mine that I met through my friend William, who occasionally joins us. And just seeing through Larry, now Shelly has a show, and now we have, of course, you, Shayna, and also Yasim. You guys have a show now. And it's just, it's great. It's great to see all this that God is doing. It's just very heartwarming. And when to see Achilles join, it's like, wow, I have a friend that lives in Greece now. That's really cool. And of course, I have a friend in Wisconsin now. And Samuel, I just started watching your videos. And do you want to talk next? You can talk about your year 2023, and also maybe we talked a little bit on the phone about that fellow that you interviewed that was wearing the suit. That was he was speaking the way a lawyer would speak, sort of. That's the impression I got when I was listening to him. So do you want to talk about your 2023? Anything?
So apparently I interviewed him 2 days before my birthday.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting. I remember that, actually.
My brother Samuel, I have your microphone on maximum volume from my side, but you sound very low.
Yeah, I had to turn my volume up, Samuel.
Was that better?
Kinda? Do we have more?
Is that better?
It is. It is.
Is that better?
Much better.
I could go
Yes.
much louder.
No,
Oh,
you're
show
fine,
us.
Samuel.
Looks okay now, though. Yeah.
Okay.
If y'all
I
don't mind,
forget.
I'm gonna mute myself real quick and try calling Jeremiah. But you can go ahead, go on, Samuel.
Oh,
I'm gonna
thank
mute
you.
myself real quick.
I love the spotlight. I'm just kidding. I was able to interview him 2 days before my birthday, which was just awesome. And his name escapes me because I refuse
think it
to
was
ask
Jackson.
people's names in the interviews now. Huh?
I think it was Jackson.
Yeah, it was Jackson. You're right.
Yeah, 'cause I just watched it yesterday.
The way he said it, I just completely forgot it, and I had to look back at the interview to get his name to write it on this list I have of people that I've given the gospel to. But yeah, it was so cool because God just prepared me. I was listening to a lecture from Frank Turek. It was just his I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. I never like fully listened to it before. And so when I actually got there, I just had only talked to him. I had asked many people, but he was really the only one that said yes. And so I got to talk to him, and he was so funny because he starts talking like a lawyer, as Brother Ryan said, which I didn't notice. I thought it was a little odd, but I've come across so many odd people. I just didn't care at that point. I'm just like, is he open for the gospel or not? You know, that's all I care about.
You know, if you don't mind me mentioning it, you know, Samuel, he came across very educated, very
Yeah.
articulate, very intelligent, almost as if he was sort of hiding behind the intellectual way of speaking.
Yeah.
Being intellectual. It's almost like
I could tell he's almost like it's almost like he grew up in some kind of religion, and I'm guessing it was some version of Christianity. I think I talked to him, and I think he said he grew up Lutheran. It was something like that.
Mhm.
Excuse me, but it was just great because I had referred him at the end. I had referred him to some just some great people to look up. I did forget Lee Strobel.
yeah, I mentioned that in the
But
comment. Yeah, those others were great, but the thing that makes Lee Strobel so noteworthy is he was an atheist, and
Yeah.
he was an investigative reporter, and his wife got saved. He said, "Oh my gosh, she's become one of these kooky people. You know, I'm going to go do some research, and I'm going to show her how ridiculous this is. I'm going to try to get her back to reality again." And so what happened? He ends
yeah,
up.
then he becomes a Christian.
Yeah,
I think
so-
I mentioned J. Warner Wallace, but I did more of the like higher educating people because Lee Strobel tries to apply to more people and get
Yeah.
people to like understand these more advanced concepts and apologetics. And same with J. Warner Wallace is like he tries, and even Frank Turek tries to like do some more basic stuff. But like Gary Habermas and especially William Lane Craig, like they get into much deeper, more important like philosophical stuff that I think he would have been more interested in. And I know I said Gary Habermas because Gary Habermas is known as like the biggest guy on biblical manuscripts and just the whole archaeological, like all the archaeological finds. Like he's the one that kind of puts the stuff together, and he knows what's going on in that realm and in the historical realm. And so that's probably why I did him.
Yeah.
Either
Yeah,
way, God
I've heard-
used it.
Mhm. Good.
So
Good. Well, you know, obviously that was in you were in Madison at the time, right?
yes, yeah,
And I commend you for it's a pretty good drive. I commend you for making that drive there to
praise God.
do that.